Hello everyone, welcome back. This is the Wisconsin Greg Show. I'm glad everybody is here. Today's a little bit different kind of a show than I usually have. I've been getting kind of switching over from my regular kitchen pans, my Teflon coated pans, and my plan is to get rid of all of them, and I'm converting over to cast iron. The reason I'm doing that is my pans are getting pretty wore out. And another reason is they say that they can be carcinogenic, which is, I guess, cancer causing, especially if they're used on too high of a temperature and when they start chipping off and stuff like that. So I want to be safe, and I want to try to make everything better and live a healthier life if possible. Plus, cast iron is very easy to clean up, and once it's seasoned properly. So it should clean up a lot easier. So one of the things I want to show today is how to make a new lodge, or even, it doesn't even have to be a lodge, but lodge is the one that are noted for being the rough surfaces lately. They kind of changed their practices from years ago, and they changed the way they cast, I guess, and they use a coarser type of sand, from my understanding. And the surface on the lodge pans are a lot rougher nowadays. Lodge, I guess, from my understanding, they kind of advertise it as a way to hold the seasoning on better. But my philosophy, this is just what I think, is it's a cheaper way to manufacture. Because years ago they didn't have no problem with a smooth pan holding on the seasoning. And I've even heard problems with the rough lodges not holding on seasoning. So I don't think that's a reason. To me, it's just a cheaper way of manufacturing. And I don't have a problem with that. Eventually, if you do keep using them, they will fill in and they will get pretty smooth, and they'll get where they're pretty good. But I like to speed things up and make things better. So that's my project today, and I want to show people how they can do this without tools, electronic tools. They can do this all by hand if they want to. The bigger pan, I don't really recommend it all by hand because it's a lot of work, but if you don't have the tools, it can be done. And I don't feel like going out and getting my tools today because it's snowy and my tools are down at the shop. So I just wanted to do this little video to see if it can be done. I've never done it myself. Watched lots of videos of people doing this all the time, and makes them like smooth as glass, and you can slide an egg right out of them. So that's what my aim is today, is to make this better than it is when it comes from the factory. I love Lodge. They're a good company. They make a very good product. The only thing is, I think they cut back a little bit on the sanding of them to save a little money for competition, to compete with other companies. And I can understand that. It's a tight world out there, competition. So they got to do what they got to do to survive. The one thing I really like about Lodge is they're made in America, made in USA. Here's a sign right on here, and they advertise that, and I'm very proud of them for doing that. They could make their stuff cheaper by sending it overseas, probably, having it made in China or somewhere, but they don't. They continue to manufacture here, and I really appreciate that. But this roughness on here, I don't like that, and that's just my philosophy, that it's done for cheaper manufacturing reasons or whatever, but I'm sure Lodge, they say it's to hold on the seasoning better. It's a advertising way to make for them to sell products at a cheaper price and make a bigger profit. So that's just my reason of thinking. I could be wrong, I don't know, but we're gonna give her a try today, and I'll bring you in with first I'm going to take you to like my little microscope, and I want to show you the difference between this pan and an Old Griswold pan. I have an Old Griswold pan that I just put a new seasoning on. I stripped it all right down to nothing, and then I re-seasoned it, and show you the difference in texture from that to this. That's around the Griswold that I have. I just bought it. It's around the 1940s, from my understanding. And from my understanding, if you go back to like a 1906, when that's some pictures that I seen on the internet, those pans were even smoother yet than the 1940s. They were like glass, and they never had a problem with the seasoning staying on. So, but they're excellent cookers when they're really smooth like that. Stuff just doesn't stick and it slides right off. So first I'm going to do is take you to my little microscope, and I'll show you the difference in texture between this pan and like an older Griswold, a 1940 Griswold. So catch you in a few minutes right by the microscope. Okay, I'm on the computer and I got my microscope set up here. This is a picture of the lodge texture of the lodge cooking area on this little skillet that I have here. Not sure if this is going to show a whole lot. You can see quite a bit of grains there. Now I'll switch it over to an older 1940 Griswold, and you can see it's a little different texture. I think the thing that's going to show the most is if I do scrape like my fingernail over the surface, and you can hear the difference. You can just tell right there how much difference the Griswold is smoother than the lodge. So this is the lodge. Now I'm going to switch it over to the 1940 Griswold that I just reconditioned. So let's see what this looks like. And there's the Griswold. Just a different texture. This doesn't really show the height of the little bumps, but you can kind of see there's fewer of them. They're spread out more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you with the camera the difference in the texture, and then I'm going to scrape my nails over them so you can hear the difference with the nails hitting the bumps. So this is the Griswold. This is the lodge, and I'll put the microphone down here. Maybe you can hear it. Put it right in here. Not sure if you can hear how rough that is. This might show you better too. The surface of the lodge. Pretty porous, pretty rough there. My aim is to get that smoother, more like glass. Now I'm going to switch you over here to the lodge. I'll put this in the same spot the lodge was, so the light's shining on it the same way. Now, you can see it's a little bit smoother. Smoother texture. Now I'll scrape my nail on here. You should be able to hear the difference. It's a lot smoother. It's kind of hard to show this on camera, but hopefully you could see that, and when we get done, hopefully the new lodge will be smooth as this one, or even smoother. So go downstairs and we'll get started. Okay, I got 3 sheets of emery paper, fine, medium, and coarse. Doesn't say on the package what grit they are. I'm not sure, but they feel okay to me. I think the fine will be okay for a final finish. I don't think I'll have to go any finer than that. What I'm doing, I'm just marking my sandpaper. I'm going to cut it to the width of the blocks that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using blocks instead of just putting it in my hand because I want to keep the surface flat. I don't want it to be wavy. I think I can just put a little snip in the end of this and tear it, and I think it will be okay, but just in case it don't tear right, I'm going to mark it all the way along, so if I have to, I can cut it with the scissors. So I got just a couple of wood blocks that I'm going to be using. They're balsa wood blocks. They doesn't matter what kind of wood blocks you got. What my plan is, if this all goes as planned, is I'm going to be using the sandpaper with the blocks on the flat surfaces like this and on the edges like this to keep it flat. And then when I get that all done to where I'm happy with one grit, I'll use the edges here, put it in my hand and use the curvature of my finger to do these curves and on the corners. And then I'll move on to the next grit. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. Want to try to do this video so people that don't have power tools can see that it can be done. Hopefully it don't take too long. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm going to get this sandpaper cut into strips here. Maybe it'll tear once I cut it. I'm not sure. We'll see. Yep, that works great. Rather tear it if I can. It's a lot easier on the scissors. Alright. Now what I gotta do is find the coarse one first. We want to start with coarse first. And then we'll work our way down to the fine. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not gonna bore you with me sanding all this, but I'm just gonna get you started here a little bit so you can see what I'm up to. And the camera's going to tip over on me, so I'm going to shut the camera off here for a second and keep on going with this, and when I get to the next stage I'll turn the camera back on. So we'll go from there, and I'm going to kind of keep track of my time. It's about 12:30 right now, and we'll see how long this takes. I'll put you on pause here for a minute till I get to the next stage. Okay, I finished with the first sanding of the coarse. That took me about probably 20-25 minutes. And this is about as far as I'm going to go. I don't think it's necessary to go much further. You can go further if you want to, but I can run, I don't know if you can see it, I can run my nail across it, and it's doesn't catch, it's pretty smooth. You can see these come pre-seasoned from the factory. The dark marks that are not shiny, that's still seasoning down there. And then when I re-season this again, it'll smooth out even more yet. So what I did is just basically took the high peaks off, and that's where that's what I want. It'll be smoother, and stuff should slide out of there a lot better. And it won't take as long to get seasoned. It'll season up a lot quicker. Now I'm going to move on to the next stage, the medium grit, and we'll go from there, and I'll come back after I'm done sanding with the medium grit. Okay, I just got done with the medium, and it's getting pretty nice. I'm kind of glad I went ahead and did this. It's going to be pretty nice and smooth. I don't know if you can hear it. It's going to be smooth, real smooth, once I get it seasoned again. But now I'm going to go on to the fine emery paper, and then we'll go on there from there and re-season it. I could re-season the whole thing. I could put it in the oven with a cleaning cycle and remove all the old finish seasoning on the backside, but I'm not going to do that. I don't think it's necessary. It's brand new, and I think the more of a buildup I get, the better it'll be, so I'm going to leave that on there. It should all blend in eventually together. And another thing that I wanted to mention is when I was sanding, you get a lot of black powder in here and stuff, and one thing I found out that works a lot is I brought my vacuum cleaner over here, and every so often I just turn on the vacuum cleaner and suck it out like that. I would say if you're married or living with a significant other, you might not want to do this in the house. I'm not married, so that's one of the benefits of not being married. I can do what I want, so I'm doing it in the house. But if you're doing a bigger pan and if you got a shop to work in, I'd probably recommend doing it out there. But I didn't feel like going out in the shop. My shop ain't all done and put together yet. I'm still working on it. I've been working on that for a couple years now. Eventually, hopefully I'll get that done so I can do more projects out there. Bring you some better videos. But I'm going to go on now and go on to the fine sandpaper part of it, and then we'll go on to the seasoning. I'll come back here right back after I'm done with the sanding of the fine. Right now I got about 45 minutes in here. Probably wondering what I'm doing with a pan so small. I plan on using this for making breakfast sandwiches or grilled cheese. It's real handy and easy to clean out and small and easy to handle. It's a Lodge number SW or 5WS, and I think it's going to work great for me. Come home in the morning and I can make an egg sandwich, egg and cheese, and be real quick and easy, be handy. So just gonna get on here now and go do the fine sanding, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. It took probably about 50 minutes for all the sanding process by hand. This is on a small pan. It's a 5.5 by 5.5. Should work good for me for making a cheese sandwich or grilled cheese sandwich or egg sandwich or just a single burger or something like that. But I just wanted to show people that it can be done without power tools. And it's got a nice, pretty smooth finish now, and when it gets seasoned, it'll even be better. You can run your nail across there and you can hardly hear anything. So I'm really glad I went through with this. Now I'm going to season it. That's another thing. When you talk about seasoning amongst the cast iron people, the people that do this all the time, everyone's got a different idea of what's best, and they all think theirs is best. So I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just going to do it the way I've been doing it for quite a few years now, probably 15 years. I've only used a couple of cast iron. Now I'm increasing and going to use more. But this has always worked out well for me, and that's why I'm going to do this. Some people argue with you, oh, you can't use Crisco, vegetable oil, you need to use some other type of oil. But I've always used that, all vegetable shortening, and it's worked great for me. And then I do like 6 seasonings on it. It takes quite a while because each time is about an hour. When you gotta let them cool down completely between times. So I do this through the week. But that's what I do, and then after I'm done using it after every cooking, I use olive oil. And it's always worked great for me. We'll give it a wipe down, a real thin layer of olive oil before I hang it up and put it away. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not here to argue that anybody's other way is worse or better. I'm just doing it this way because it's worked out great for me. So some people like to argue. Some people say this ain't even worth the time sanding. And that's fine. If you don't want to sand, that's fine. I just think it's a great improvement myself. So I'm kind of glad I did it myself, and I think it's going to be a big improvement. So I'm going to go on with the seasoning part now. I'm going to go give this a washing out in the sink. I'm not going to use no soap. Some people say, oh, this you can use soap, especially when you're seasoning it for the first time, and then you shouldn't use soap after that. And some people say, oh, you can use soap after that. Everybody's got different ideas, but I'm not going to use any soap, and I don't use soap afterwards. That's just what I believe. So I'm going to go ahead with this and get this washed out, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I got the pan washed out, and I got the oven warmed up to 325. That's what I do. Everybody's got different temperature ranges too, but this is what I've always used, and it worked out great for me. So I used 325, and I'm gonna stick the pan in there for 10 minutes to make sure any of the water is all dried out, because cast iron is kind of porous and like a sponge, and there might be some little moisture in the pores. And we want to make sure that's totally dry before we put any vegetable shortening on there. I am going to do the whole thing, top and bottom, re-season it. And as I was saying, I'm going to give it 6 layers of seasoning. You don't have to do that. That's just something I do. I think it makes it better and builds a thicker layer in a quicker time. It will build up layers as you use it, but I like to give it a nice good start. So I'm going to let that sit in there for about 10 minutes, and we'll pull her out and we'll put some vegetable seasoning on there and put her back in the oven. Okay, it's been about 10-15 minutes, so the pan's nice and warmed up. It's been in the oven at 325 for that time, so now I can put the vegetable shortening on there. One of the biggest things you got to make sure you do is use a lint-free rag. If you don't, you're kind of wasting your time. All that stuff you just did is kind of going to be bad, because you're going to have lint in there, and that's going to cause your food to stick. So just dip some out pretty liberally and rub it on there. Make sure you get all the corners and sides and top and edges. Do this over an old shirt or something that'll suck up the oil. Make sure you use an old pot holder when you're holding onto it, because these cast iron pans get really warm. So you get all the edges. Okay. I'm going to wipe off as much as I can. I like to put on thin layers rather than thick, because it works better that way. Harden gets harder. Makes a better surface, a better covering as far as I'm concerned, a better seasoning. Get her wiped off pretty thin, let her soaked in, and then wipe it off. I just use an old shirt that I ain't using to cut one up and use it instead of using paper towels. Don't use paper towels. Your food will be tasting like Bounty if you use paper towels. I like paper. So now, got her pretty wiped down and oiled up. I'm gonna put this in the oven for about 15 minutes right now, and then I'm gonna pull it out. That's a very important stage that most people don't do, and that's where they screw up. Pull it out in about 15 minutes and give it a real good wipe down again, and then stick it back in there for another 45 minutes. And then that should take care of the first seasoning. I always like to make sure I get the first seasoning done especially if a skillet is stripped down, all the old seasoning off, or if you're sanding it or something like this. So get at least one coat of seasoning on there right away before the flash rust sets in. You don't want it to start rusting. So that'll stop that. So I'm going to stick her back in the oven, and then we'll wait about 45 more minutes, and the first seasoning will be done. And then you have to let her totally cool down before you go on with the next seasonings. Some people just leave it like one seasoning, and that's fine. But I like to go with 6. That's what I've always done, and I've had very good luck with it. I always like to do things better. Better than I have to sometimes, probably. But we'll stick this in there for 15 minutes, pull it out, and give it a good wipe down, and then stick her back in there. Okay, I got my timer all set. While we're waiting for that, I'll show you some of my pans and stuff that I've been working on and what I've been doing. Let's waste a little bit of time here. So I'm going to move the camera here and let you see what I've been up to. One of the reasons I wasn't using my cast iron pans very often is because I couldn't get to them. So what I did is I bought this metal shelf. Each shelf is supposed to be able to hold a weight of 350 pounds. And I put some S-hooks on top, and this makes it real easy to grab. Just give them a quick rinse under the water before you use them, and they're ready to go. This is one that I just recently redid. I bought this off of eBay. This is a Griswold skillet. I guess it's from the 1940 era. Model number is 666. That's kind of a little bit scary, but I don't care. I kind of take it as a joke. I've nicknamed it the Devil's Platter. It's a colonial breakfast skillet, or the Devil's Skillet, I call it. And this one's got 5 coats of seasoning on it. I'm going to do one more coat on it, and then I'll start using it. But I'm very happy with the way it turned out. It looked a lot worse when I got it, but it looks pretty good shape now. Sits nice and flat and everything, and I'm very happy with it. So this is another one that I just recently bought online. I'm going to use this for cooking my steaks in the oven. This is a really heavy pan. This one has, let's see, I think 1 coat of seasoning on it, and I'm going to do 5 more on it before it's ready to be used. This is an emerald pan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with, they used to be a cook on TV. I'm not sure if he still is. He might still be doing it. Emerald Lagasse, I think his last name is, something like that. And he's got his own line of cast iron pans out. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I restored that one. It turned out pretty nice. This is just a flat griddle, and it's got grates on, or grills on the other side and flat on the other side. I use that a lot on my grill. I've been using that for years. This is my main pan, which I plan on changing in the near future. I got some new pans coming that I ordered online. They're not new, they're old, but they need restoring, and I'm going to restore them. They're Griswolds, and that's going to replace this one. I bought a set of 3. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep 1 or 2, or but I'll probably end up selling the other 1 or 2. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet exactly, but I'm going to restore them. But this is a sweet pan. It's a China pan, made in China. Came as a kit from Walmart years ago. As Winslow was the name of the company. Came in a wooden box with a bunch. It came with this one also. This grill flat top here, and it works okay. This is actually works very, very good because I've been using it so much. The more you use them, the better they get. So this is my everyday use. I use this a lot. The reason I haven't been using all the other ones are because they were hard to get at. I didn't have room in the kitchen. They were out in the porch, and every time I wanted to use them, I had to dig them out of a box, and they were hard to get at, so I just never really used them. Some of them are new. This is another one. This is one I had on the porch that I never used, and I just recently re-seasoned it. I used it a couple times, and so I redid it. It was not too good a shape because I used it on the grill a lot and stuff. Not a lot, but sometimes. And I kind of neglected it and wouldn't take very good care of it, but I got her back into shape. But eventually I'll probably end up changing this one over to a Griswold or something like that too. Kind of like the American made stuff. I like to stay with American made, and I think I'll be into selling some of these ones that are made in China. But just wanted to show you what I was up to. I actually have a Dutch oven down here too. This has never been used yet. This came in the kit. This one here I plan on maybe using for frying some chicken in. I think it'll work good. It'll keep it from splattering because it's got high edges. So I'm going to use that for my chicken fryer. So just wanted to show you what I've been up to and waste a little bit of time here while that one's seasoning. So I'm going to shut the camera off now, and when it's done with the seasoning, actually in 8 more minutes I'm going to pull it out, and then I'll do the wipe down, and then we'll put her back in there for like another 45 minutes. But I wanted to show you some of the stuff I've been working on, so I'll be back with you in just a little bit here. Okay, it's been in there for about 10-15 minutes, and this is one of the most important steps in my opinion. I always make sure to pull it out and give it a good wipe down. You don't want no drips or anything pooling in the pan or anything. That's another thing, is I always make sure I keep my pan upside down in the stove in case there should be any pool. I don't want it to run out. Give it a good wipe down. This is a very important stage here. You want thin layers, you don't want thick. Thick become gooey and sticky, and they just don't work well. You want very thin layers of your seasoning, and that works better and makes a harder seasoning. So make sure you do this in about 15 minutes into your seasoning process. Is give it a good wipe down. Now I'm going to put her back in there and put her in for another about 40 minutes. 45 minutes, so it'll be about an hour in total. So we'll be back with you in an hour. Okay, I pulled it out of the oven a little bit ago. It's got the first seasoning on it. It'll get darker and darker with more seasoning as I go, and then when you start cooking with it, it'll get darker yet. But it turned out really, really good so far. I'm very happy with it. You can take your nail and scrape across it, and it's pretty smooth. It's not rough like it was. So it should be a lot better. The back is getting darker yet because it's got like probably 2 coats of seasoning on it because it came with one from the factory. So when I get some more seasoning on here, it'll turn darker and darker. I actually got a little bit of time, so I think I'm going to throw another coat on right now, and then I'll do the rest through the week. But I'm going to throw another coat on now, and then I'll show you what it looks like after the second coat. But first I'm going to take it up to the little microscope on my computer and see what it looks like. I'm not sure if that's going to show much, but we'll go up there and see. But I can definitely tell you that it's an improvement, but just by running my fingernail across the surface. So I'm going to take you up to my computer and we'll take another look under the microscope. Okay, this is after it's been sanded. Not sure if it's going to show a whole lot. I think, if I remember right, the spaces are a lot wider apart here than they were. I think they were closer together. Probably because a lot of them have been sanded down. So have to look at the beginning of the video and compare this picture with the beginning and see what it looks like. But I can definitely tell you, just by doing scraping the fingernail over it, it's way smoother. Probably just as equal to the Griswold that I have. So hope this helps, and I'm gonna give this another coat of seasoning, and then I'll be back to you in about another hour. I'll put you on pause here for a second. Okay, I got the skillet out again. It's been seasoned twice now, and it's all cooled down. I think I might give it try another round of seasoning yet tonight. Maybe possibly two. We'll see how it goes, but at least one before I end this video. I'm going to do 6 in total, and by the time I get done it'll be pretty dark. So it's getting a little bit darker each time. And I'm going to continue on, and I'll be back. Okay, I got seasoning layer number 3 applied. It's getting darker, a little bit darker. It's kind of hard to tell by the camera, but it is getting darker. And I'll be doing one more before I end this video, and then I'll do 2 more probably tomorrow or the next day. But I'm going to do one more before I end this video, and just so you guys can see, and then I'm going to wrap this video up for the day. So I'll be back here in a little bit after I apply the 4th coat. The 4th coat of seasoning. Be right back in about an hour. Okay, I'm back again, and it's been after seasoning number 4. Kind of hard to see on the camera, but it is getting darker. Gonna do a couple more tomorrow, but that's all I'm gonna do on this video. I'm just gonna end the video now, and I'll show it to you at a later date in another video. When I get her all done, first thing I'll cook is a few pieces of bacon in it, and I like to do that after I get done with them. And then I'll try to cook an egg in it, and when I cook the egg in it, I'll do a video on cooking the egg in here so you can see how it works. But it's probably, I'm going to say it's probably going to be about the nicest pan I have. It's going to be pretty equal to the Griswold that I have, that I showed you earlier. Might even be better. It's very smooth. It's kind of hard to tell here by the video, but it's smooth. So I'm gonna put this camera back up on the tripod, and I'm gonna end this video. So I'll be back with you in just a second. Well, thank you everybody for joining me. I'm sorry I made this video a little longer than I expected to, but I think it's because I like to do this kind of stuff, and I just kind of get carried on here and I kind of get more involved and drag it on longer than I want to sometimes, but it turned out good, and I'm very happy with the results. Hopefully this will give you some informative information, and hope I helped you out. So if you like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up, and if you think you might like some other of my videos, subscribe to me. I'm sure there'll be some things coming up in the future that you guys might like and girls might like. And so I'd hope that you would subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that. And that's it. We're gonna call our day. Have a great day, everybody.